Hello, my awesome project managers. How you doing? It's your friend Phil here, project management trainer and coach. We're going to take a look at the Phil's matrix today, and we're going to try and plot risk management against integration management. So you might have watched the first video that I put out about this matrix and how it can help your depths and your understanding of the PMBOK guide and how these knowledge areas, processes, process groups interrelate. So this is looking at integration mapped against risk. Remember, the aim is to look for outputs from the items on the left-hand side. So we're looking for these outputs and how they map to the processes at the top. So I'm just going to merge this and write output focus. In other words, we're looking for the outputs that come from what is on the left, and our aim is to plot those against our input to focus. So these are the processes where these outputs are going to eventually become inputs. So processes, items become inputs. So let's take a look at the first one, develop project charter. It gives you a project charter, and it also gives you an assumption log. So when you think about the places that the project charter is used, you can immediately put this here. When you start off doing this, you might need to spell it all out until you get used to abbreviations. We could have just called that PC, for example. But let's just leave that at project charter. Project charter goes into plan risk management. Now, when you put this in the box, you need to ask yourself why. Why does the project charter actually go there? Well, remember, the project charter contains your high-level risks and a lot of other information. It also contains the success criteria of the project. So it's quite a powerful document, okay? So it goes into plan risk management. Now, in order to get this right, to plot it out nicely, I would encourage you to look at page 76 when you're dealing with the project charter, because this shows you the places the project charter becomes an input. Regarding the project management plan, we'll just call it PMP, all right, for space concerns. So the PMP, project management plan, it's an input to all of these processes, every single one of them. I look at it as a very special part of the main line of project management, okay, the project management main line. Direct and manage project work gives you a very important output that is known as 1, deliverables, 2, issue log, and 3, work performance data. Work performance data goes here to monitor risks. For obvious reasons, we need to analyze that. We need to glean WPI from monitor risks, but we're not focused on the outputs of this version of the matrix, and there are many versions, but this version focuses on the output to input relationship. So WPD is big, it's very important. Okay. Now, going down to the next level of awareness, which is the sub-level beyond just the initial headers in the PMBOK guide, we got to go into the bullets. And by going into the bullets, I'm talking about the items on page 89. Page 89 has all of those bullets that are considered to be project documents. So I don't want you to lose sight of that. I want you to focus on the issue log right now, because the issue log becomes an output but then it becomes an input to several places. Now, when it comes to risk management, I want you to think about the issue log. Where does it go? Think about it. Where would an issue log go to within risk management? If you thought identify risks, you're correct. The issue log is definitely one of those. And you got to go to the next level below the surface is what I'm talking about. So identify risk is one. Where else would you think the issue log should go in risk management? So would it go to perform qualitative risk analysis? Is there any reason why that would? No, it's been factored into identify risks. Would it go to perform quantitative risk analysis? Why would it? It doesn't. It's already been factored in. So our issue log is going to be used to identify things that could be risks. What about the planning of risk responses? Would you expect to find an issue log there? No, we already know the risks. What about implementing risk responses? No, we've already used it to identify the risks. Now, when it comes to monitor risks, would you expect to find an issue log? And the answer would be yes, you would expect to find an issue log because now you're actually in the execution of the plan. I know it's in monitoring and controlling, but in the general sense of execution. So the issue log is used to see if there are open issues and make sure they've been updated. And if there are open issues and something has changed, that needs to be updated. So we may need to be updating our issue log. And it doesn't always have to be negative. It could be with good news, issue closed, for example. So the issue log on the second level in the sub-bullets, we need to keep our eye on the issue log in these two places. So this matrix is not just to help you see those higher level output-input relationship. It's also meant to help you identify the sub-levels in the PMBOK guide and understand the relevance of them when you see them in different places, okay? So for those folks who don't really understand what is going on here, for those folks who don't understand, let me just give you a very quick map. We're looking at a process, we're looking at the output, and we're saying this output goes here. We're looking at a process, we're looking at an output, the issue log. We're seeing, oh, the issue log goes here. We're looking at this process, we're looking at this output from it. It goes into monitor risks. This output issue log, it goes into monitor risks. Do you see what I'm saying? Same for project management plan. We get the project management plan, comes out, goes in here. Same thing. This is how you need to see the view of the world to really get good as far as the relationships. And it's only going to make you a better student of the PMBOK guide to mine deeper, to really understand the essence of what the PMI have presented in the PMBOK guide. Okay, let's move on to our next output. And I'm going to let you guys get on with it and do most of these, but I just wanted to get you started. So hopefully this will accelerate your understanding. And if you wish to share any of these with me, like you wish to share how you've been able to map out your matrix, or you just want me to see, feel free to do that on the Savage on Saturday group, okay? SavageOnSaturday.com. Let me see. I'd like to see what you've been up to with it, okay? There are many different forms of the matrix. We also have the tool and technique commonality matrix, where we take a look at a knowledge area like this, another knowledge area that way, and look for commonalities in tools and techniques. But that's going really way deep. I would say keep it simple in the output-input relationships, and then after getting this stage down across the entire gamut of the 49 processes for the output-input, then you can go to the next level. So let's keep it simple for now. Those of you who are just starting to use it. And let's go to Manage Project Knowledge. So in Managed Project Knowledge, the big output you get is, of course, the lessons learned register. Now, The lessons learned register goes through a number of processes for various reasons. But I want to encourage you one more time to go through all the processes of risk management and ask the question, would the lessons learned register be an input here? Would it be an input here? And so on. So when you think about plan risk management, would you use a lessons learned register here from that particular project? No, you would use organizational process assets. So like here, there is nothing here as far as the lessons learned register is concerned. Moving on to identify risks. Would you expect to find the lessons learned register? Well, remember, we have document analysis, if you will. We analyze the documents here in identify risks, and that is one of the documents that you could be analyzing. So document analysis will look at your lessons learned register in identify risks, and it will try to glean information from earlier phases to identify if there are any similar risks which could occur on this particular project. So lessons learned register would be something to consider right here. So your lessons learned register is an input to identify risks for obvious reasons, okay? Now, when it comes to perform qualitative risk analysis, think about it. Will your lessons learned register be here? There's no need for it to be. We're trying to take a look at what we have gleaned from the lessons learned register, if any, in identify risks. And here we're trying to qualitatively analyze the risks. What about perform quantitative risk analysis? No, you wouldn't expect to find it there either. What about plan risk responses? When you're planning responses, you may need to consider occurrences of earlier phases. You see, because this is where you review your responses and you ask the question, I wonder if similar responses would be useful to work on these associated risks. You see, so you're looking at earlier phases to determine if similar responses could be useful. For that reason, you have the lessons learned register as part of this. And of course, I totally bombed the inclusion of implement risk responses. So I'm going to have to revisit that. I just noticed there are so many. I thought, why are they so few? But there's implement risk responses. I know you guys were wondering, he didn't talk about implement risk responses here. For that reason, we would have to update that. And I would also have to update this as far as these are concerned. So the lessons learned register will be used to some degree in implement risk responses. We learn from the past to do better, right? And this is why this matrix is great. I mean, you see, when I thought about the lessons learned register, and I knew it should be used in implement risk responses, I was like, where is implement risk responses? So the matrix will find gaps in your knowledge, in your documentation, and in what you're doing. It's a really powerful tool, really powerful tool. So with that, we are done with the lessons learned register and implement risk responses. And in monitor risks, we also have our lessons learned register. Why do we have our LLR? Well, risk-related lessons from earlier in the project can be applied to later phases in the project. Just remember, earlier phases are important. Just remember that. I don't want to spend too much time on the others because I want you guys to play with them yourselves. But let us just go to MCPW and let's document that WPR, work performance reports, is an output of monitor and control project work, goes into monitor risks, Boom, end of story. Okay, that's how you should roll with this stuff. That's how you should think about it. That's how you should process it. That's how you should look for the linkages. Okay, look for the linkages. I'm going to save this. Look for the linkages. Okay, and that will greatly help you as you study for the exam. I hope this gives you some new ideas, fresh perspectives, as far as how to tackle this information, how to get it into your subconscious and conscious mind. The more you look at it, the more it's going to stick.